the blood draw that was done for toxicology purposes, in this case, you're saying was not available through a peripheral source?
In this case, I don't know, I don't remember, but generally speaking, we should get blood from peripheral if there is one.
Okay.
In this case, I do not believe there is one.
Do you do that yourself?
No.
Are you the one that draws the blood for that purpose?
I never draw blood.
So
from
in
the
this
body.
in this case, who drew the blood that was submitted as part of the toxicology?
Is there an objection, Your Honor?
When there's an objection, you can't answer until I make a ruling. Thank you. The court has made a pretrial determination, and I'm asking counsel to make sure you abide by that.
Certainly. Do you know who drew the blood?
I believe is Ben Dalton.
He was the hands-on guy, correct? In terms of assisting with the...
Yes.
Whereas Ms. Feller was the clean hands person.
Yes, yes.
It makes sense it would have been Ben Dorton then.
Yeah.
Okay. I have 107. May I approach the witness, please?
Yes, you may.
Dr. Brown, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 107. It's already in evidence.
Okay.
It's a better quality picture than the ones on the screen. Would you take a look at that?
Yes.
Do you recognize those to be the pants that Trayvon Martin was wearing at the time the autopsy was performed?
Yeah, this is one of the photos I have.
Correct.
There is a case number, so I believe it is.
That came from your office,
Yes.
taken by Ms. Feller, most likely,
Yes.
and is considered part of the case package.
Yes.
And you would have seen those pants at some point.
Yes.
Your Honor, could I publish it briefly?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. I'll just pass it down. And I'll keep it. You've had an opportunity to look at all of the photographs that your staff took in connection with this autopsy?
Yes, I went through many times.
I'm sorry.
I went through these photos many times.
And am I correct that there are no photographs that show the palms of Mr. Martin's hands?
I did not recall. We
Take a
do
look.
have photos of the abrasion on
Right.
the left fingers.
I know. If you have them in your memory, just tell me if you can. Are there any photographs that were taken that show Trayvon Martin's palms?
No, I don't believe we have that.
Is it part of your protocol not to photograph the entire body, all of the body surfaces?
The protocol is we take photos as a whole body. We take 3 photos to cover all the bodies because we don't have space to get a camera too high, very high, to get one photo of the whole body. Other than that, we take the photos as needed. For example, if I found something I thought may be significant, such as an injury, a tumor, a disease on skin, we will take photo.
Are you saying it was a conscious decision by your staff member not to photograph the palms of Trayvon Martin's hands?
I look at the palm, generally speaking, for every case, because the body coming, the hand is contracted. I have to bend them straight. I look at them. If I do not find anything, I just pass.
And you don't take a picture?
I do not take picture for anywhere I don't think is significant.
So you're making a decision on the fly, what might be significant later, and make a conscious decision not to photograph certain parts of the body.
It was my decision, I think. I look at it, I did not see any injury, I did not see any disease, so we just move on.
That's what you're looking for, is injury or disease.
Yes.
Likewise, you don't have any pictures of Trayvon Martin's fingernails. Is that correct?
I do not believe we have that.
Was that also a conscious decision not to take a picture that would show his fingernails?
It's not a particular decision. I believe we do not do that. If I do not find anything significant or disease or injuries.
That's certainly not a cost issue, is it?
It is not a cost issue.
It's just a digital camera.
Yes.
The images are stored digitally.
Yes.
You're not paying for film or copies or anything.
I do not even worry about that. When we do autopsy, for any profession, I work in the hospital, in the medical exam office, the efficiency is so important. In this case, we started autopsy 10:30, means I did another one before Trayvon Martin. I would start autopsy 9 o'clock. And this is Monday morning. I will have another autopsy due after this case. So we take maybe 5 to 10 photos as needed.
So you're saying that you're kind of in a hurry and you don't want to take a full body set of photographs?
No, I'm not in a hurry. I said, for any case, we take 5 to 10 photos. We do not just take photos for the purpose of future use. We take 100 photos, cover everywhere. We cannot do that.
Your testimony is that you can't take pictures of all the body surfaces?
No, we cannot. There is no
And
reason
that's
to
because
do
it takes
that.
too much time or costs too much in resources. What's the reason?
What's the reason? That's we do that all the time. We did that before. We did that on this case. We will do that in the future.
So in other words, without the photographs, in this case, nobody can look and make a decision for themselves whether you missed something or whether they would see...
I do not believe I missed
Let me finish,
anything.
please. Or whether they might interpret something differently than you did.
I believe in this case, nobody know Trayvon Martin's autopsy more than I do.
Except for one thing, you can't remember anything about it.
Yes, anything is based on my notes.
Okay, let's talk about some of the other aspects of it, please. The abrasion on the left ring finger of the fourth finger on the left hand
Yes,
is about this area.
yes,
An abrasion is kind of a rubbing, scraping injury, correct?
yes.
As opposed to a laceration that might be from a sharp edge.
Yeah, but laceration means the skin was separate. There is tissue was cut after blunt force trauma.
Whereas the laceration, the top surface of the skin's basically rubbed off.
Yes,
And there were a couple of little ones on the pinky finger.
yes.
I know your testimony was that it could have happened up to 2 hours before Mr. Martin died. Is that correct?
I said that this small aberration could happen 2 hours before Trayvon Martin met George Zimmerman.
And that's based upon your visual inspection of the abrasion itself?
Yes,
So it's really hard, I take it, to know precisely when someone received an abrasion injury.
yes. You cannot say very specific.
So it could have been 2 hours.
Could have been 2 hours before. Could be during the struggle with
Right.
both guys.
It would be consistent with a blow.
Not consistent with blow. Consistent with
You're saying that you wouldn't get an abrasion like that by striking somebody with your fist?
You could.
You could, right?
Yes.
Sure. You could also get an abrasion like that by scraping it along some cement.
Yes.
Okay.
And also could be on the way down after he was shot.
So he, on his way down to the ground after being shot, is what
Yes.
you're saying?
Could cause this injury too.
So it could have occurred on his way down if he were on his knees?
I said could on the way down for anything. I have no idea.
So let's say this, hypothetically, if Trayvon Martin were on his knees, leaning over George Zimmerman when he was shot, you're saying he could have received this abrasion between where he was at the time of the shot and when he fell forward on the grass?
Yeah, that's too specific. It is my opinion that could happen before they met, during the struggle, or after he was shot.
You're not suggesting, are you, that Mr. Martin could receive the abrasion on his finger by falling onto wet, soft grass?
It shouldn't happen.
It would require a hard, ungiving surface of some sort,
Yes.
something abrasive,
Yes.
something like cement or something with a hard edge.
Yes, you're right.
Certainly not wet, soggy soil.
I don't think so.
Now, you said also that it's not something that would bleed correctly? It wouldn't bleed much?
Yeah, this injury, there is no blood. Blood still inside of the tissue, still inside of capillary.
Can there be blood sometimes?
Shouldn't.
Right, but can there be? Could that wound be enough?
When I look at it, there is no blood. I'm not sure before.
Right, it could have been wiped off.
I don't think so.
There could have been.
It's so superficial. The blood vessel did not have injury.
Right. So if there had been some blood that you didn't see, it could have been wiped off.
Objection to speculation.
Sustained.
The body reacts to being injured by putting some fluids too, correct?
Yeah.
So
blood.
even if it's not blood, there could be some other bodily fluids that would kind of
Yeah.
come to help start to heal.
The injury, any injury for any place in the body, the body will try to get more blood to the area, to get more nutrition, to get more neutrophils, to get more red cells, white blood cells, to fight for the disease or injury.
So if something came in contact with that abrasion, cloth or something, there could be some transfer of those bodily fluids, if not actually blood.
So there is no hemorrhage, so there is no clot, just superficial abrasion.
So that your opinion is there wouldn't, if that abrasion were to come in contact with someone's clothing, there would be no transfer of biological matter?
It could be because the superficial skin was off. So I believe there is a possibility after this injury, the superficial skin could transfer from one person to another anytime.
Sure.
You have contact, you have something transfer. It's called trace evidence. That's in the book. What is trace evidence means you have contact, you have something transfer.
Could we retrieve the exhibit? Yes. Thank you, James. Thank you. Okay. You mentioned Trayvon Martin's height, that's 71 inches, 5 feet 11, correct?
I never say height because the dead man cannot stand.
Well, I meant length, body length.
Yeah, length.
Correct. 71 inches, 5 feet 11.
Yeah, 71 inch.
And you,
5'11", yes.
the weight was 158.
Yes.
And on the notes taken during your examination, that is a BMI of 22, correct?
Yes.
Do you know what BMI is?
Yeah.
Right, body mass index?
Yeah. If he's obese, I will write down in the autopsy report. If he's in normal range, I would, let me see the diagram. 22, yes. 22 is the normal range, so I did not wrote that in my autopsy report, just in the diagram.
In the body diagram sheet,
Yes.
where it's noted that Mr. Martin was 71 inches and 158 pounds.
Yeah.
It's also noted that his BMI was 22.
Yes.
And that's in the normal range for someone his size and weight.
Yes.
Neither obese nor underweight.
Yeah, normal range is 20 to 25.
I'm just looking around here so I don't repeat what you've already said, and we'll
Okay.
try to move forward. And I
Yeah.
think I'm at the point now where I'd like to talk with you specifically about the gunshot wound itself.
Okay.
No, actually, before I do that, let's talk about the length of time that, in your opinion, Mr. Martin may have lived.
1 to 10 minutes.
Right. That's what you said before.
Yes.
Are you saying that his minimum time that he would have survived is 1 minute?
Yes.
And the maximum time he would have survived is 10 minutes?
Yes.
And that's based upon your review of literature?
No. It is based on my experience. I did autopsy and I have worked in the 3 medical examiner's office.
Let me ask you this about your experience. Have you ever done personal research, professional research, that has resulted in peer-reviewed publications?
For this, for the surviving,
Gunshot wound survival times or anything related to gunshot wounds?
yes, I read many books.
Now, I understand. My question, though, is more precise. It's, have you done any research yourself, written any articles on this subject matter?
Not in the last 6 months.
Are you published in the area of gunshot wounds?
No, I did not.
Are you published in the area of what the survival time might be for a wound such as Mr. Martin sustained?
I did not.
So your source of information, when you offer your opinion of 1 to 10 minutes, is based upon your review of other people's work?
Based on my autopsy and other people's autopsy which I work with. Because
When
for
you say
every
you work
case
with-
come to my office or come to the office back in the Texas or back in Alabama, normally we have morning conference. Then we go to morgue to do autopsy together. We watch each other's case to have more experience, to learn from each other.
In this instance, though, are you saying that in working with other medical examiners over time, you've done your own research project?
No, I do not have any research project on this matter.
So you don't have any database, if you will, of how long someone would be expected to live after sustaining the injury that Mr. Martin did?
No, I have clear picture, 100% accurate evidence that one guy, 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
one guy was shot
All
by
right,
his father.
excuse
He's
me,
alive
if I
for
might
10
let
minutes.
you, Your Honor, would
If you please wait for the next question.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm talking about information that you have outside this autopsy, from research you've done, people you've consulted with, or textbooks that you've read about how long someone is likely to live after sustaining the kind of injury that Mr. Martin did.
For the gunshot wound to the heart, I do have experience several times back in Alabama, back in Texas, and in this office.
Has that ever been memorialized in
Yeah,
a
this is
public,
just
in a
based
pub-
on my memory. So I have no more than 50% of confidence that they are not accurate. That's why in the deposition I give you 1 to 3 minutes, which
Okay,
is very safe.
Let's talk about that for a moment. So you acknowledge that your first opinion was, and the one you expressed in writing and at your deposition last November,
Yes.
was that it was 1 to 3 minutes, correct?
Yes, in the deposition I told you is 1 to 3 minutes.
Okay.
Because
Now-
it's my job
if you would let me ask the next
Okay.
question. I don't mean to interrupt if you're not finished, but
Okay.
I want to just set the stage.
Okay.
So it was 1 to 3 minutes back in November,
Yes.
and it continued to be 1 to 3 minutes until the last 60 days,
Yes, until 3 weeks ago.
until 3 weeks ago, and then you changed your opinion
Last
and
time.
expanded it to more than twice, almost 3 times as long, more than 3 times as long,
Yeah.
from 1 to 10 minutes.
Because I have new experience.
And that's experience, personal experience?
Yes.
Not experience or information that you gain from reviewing journals or articles
No.
or textbooks.
No, it's
Your
personal experience.
hands-on experience.
My hands was not on. My eye was on.
Is this because of a specific case you were working on?
Yes, 3 weeks ago. Let me say this case.
Yes, if you would, just tell us
Okay.
exactly what it was,
3
your
weeks
experience
ago,
was 3 weeks ago that has
we-
caused you to more than triple the time that
Okay.
Trayvon Martin is likely to have been alive.
3 weeks ago, we had a case. One guy, about 40 years old, was shot by his father. His father was in real self-defense. He called 911 right away. We
Yeah,
have clear
I'm going-
time log.
I'm sorry. Is this information that's in your personal knowledge, or are you relying on other people's reports?
My knowledge, because the reason I did not do autopsy on this case, but I have great interest on this case.
Okay. She needs to be able to hear everything that you're saying. What is it that you're missing?
My knowledge, because the reason I did not.
No, okay. I did not do autopsy on this case, but I have very great interest on this case because this case is similar to Trayvon Martin's autopsy. This 40 years old was shot. The gun through the heart, also right ventricle, through the liver. In Trayvon's case, the bullet through the right ventricle of the heart and to the lung. And very rare. This is kind of one of 10 years of opportunity that we know exactly the time he was alive. His father called 911 right away, and he was in pain and make some painful noise, and the 911 people actually hear that. He was pronounced dead 10 minutes after he was shot. Very clear time. Very rare you can have clear picture after people was shot how long he alive. So in this case, this guy, 40 years old, shot by his father. His father called 911 right away. We have clear picture. He was alive for 10 minutes. I was so interested in this case because I'm preparing for this case. So I believe if you shoot the heart, people can survive 10 minutes.
Okay, that's your frame of reference then?
Yes,
That other case where there's some evidence that the person was alive longer than your first opinion of 1 to 3 minutes.
yes,
Would you agree the range could be quite different
Oh, yes.
depending on the circumstances? And you couldn't really say that in every case where someone was shot in the heart, they would survive 10 minutes.
no, this is why I said 1 to 10 minutes. I did not say about 10 minutes or 10 minutes. I say 1 to 10 minutes. I give myself plenty of margin of error.
So that's really 10 times, isn't it?
Yes,
10 times, 1 to 10 minutes is a huge.
yes, okay. Let me tell you
Is
what
that
is opinion.
is that as accurate as you can be?
Yes,
Okay, let's then talk about something else you said in connection with that. If I heard what you said earlier in direct, that you said that immediately following the shot, Trayvon Martin would not be able to move. Did you say that?
yes, I did.
Is that your opinion, that based upon the shot to Mr. Martin's heart, that immediately upon sustaining it, he would not have been able to move?
And also I gained experience.
Answer,
from the
if
case
you would
I
just
just talked
answer the
about.
question first. Is that your testimony that immediately upon receiving the injury to his heart and lung, that Trayvon Martin would not have been able to move?
Yes.
And are you also saying that he would not be able to talk?
Yes, I did say that. I would say that
He would have no voluntary control of his muscles whatsoever?
I
Is that
don't
what
know
you're
about
saying?
that. I have no idea about that. I do think they can move a little bit. They can make some very painful noise. That's what I learned from the case
let's-
3 weeks ago.
But you didn't do the autopsy on that case, did you?
I did not. But I
Did you
have-
witness the autopsy?
Yes, I do. I did.
And that's your database, if you will, for all of this?
Normally, we have two persons. In this case, Dr. Gallagher did the autopsy. At that day, I did not do autopsy, I think. So because this case is so rare, we have clear picture.
What I'd like you to focus on, please answer more fully if you need to, but I want to focus on your opinion as a medical examiner in this case,
Yes.
so that we're clear. Is it your testimony that immediately upon sustaining the gunshot wound to his heart and lung, that Trayvon Martin would not have been able to move voluntarily?
I think he was able to move a little bit,
How much?
very, very little.
Could he pull his hands in? Could he move his hands?
I don't know.
Could he move his legs?
In this world, only one person knows.
Could he sit up?
I don't know.
All right, so somewhere between not being able to move at all and maybe move a little bit, you're just not sure how much or for how long. Is that what you're saying?
Again, because nobody knows, only one person knows in this room.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness is not being responsive. Could we approach the bench, please?
No, but please rephrase your question and wait till he asks the question to give you an
I understand your question because
Your Honor,
nobody knows what
Your
the
Honor,
Trayvon did
could-
after
could-
he was
could-
shot.
Excuse me.
may we?
Excuse me.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Dr. Bell,
Yes.
you need to wait until a question is finished being asked, and you need to answer the question that is being asked, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
Ask
may we
your
please
question.
approach just for a second? This is an important matter that I'd like to address
No,
very,
just go ahead
very
and ask your
briefly.
question, please.
May I have just a moment? I want to be precise with my question.
Okay.
And as an expert, you're allowed to give an opinion, obviously.
Yes,
So I just
I
want to
earn
know
my
what
right.
your opinion is.
Yes.
Your opinion is that Trayvon Martin may have been able to move some after sustaining the shot. You just don't know how much or for how long.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Nobody knows details.
All right.
That's-
So, because it's a matter of opinion.
Yes.
Okay. So have you done any studies yourself, other than this one case you're talking about, or consulted any research on that specific issue, how long somebody could move or talk, what physical activity they're capable of, and for how long after sustaining a similar injury?
Okay. For human study, we cannot do experiment. So in this world, nobody knows.
Your Honor, the answer is not
His
responsive.
answer is nobody knows.
Yeah. I gain my
Just leave
experience.
your answer, please wait for the next question. Go
I
ahead
did
and
not
ask.
finish my answer.
I understand, wait for your next question.
So you're saying there is no research available that would assist you in reaching the opinion?
You cannot do this research. You cannot kill anybody to
Well,
define
sure, you can't
the
do it in a
movement.
laboratory. You can't shoot people in a laboratory. That's not what I'm talking about.
So I believe the case I have 3 weeks ago, we have 3 weeks, is one of the best in the world. Very rare you have clear picture after shot to the heart. What he did, how he suffered, we have clear picture. Very rare. I believe you can write a publication will be read by everybody in the world.
Very good. You haven't done that yet.
No, I have no time to write publication.
And have you researched whether anybody else has on similar subjects?
I did not do any research.
You know, you mentioned that on a lot of these issues, you researched a lot of the material and the textbooks out there in the scientific community, correct?
Yeah, I do that routinely.
So let's talk about,
Routinely.
let's talk about then the gunshot wound itself.
Okay.
Do you agree, and is it your testimony and opinion, that the damage to the shirts was as a result of contact with the muzzle of the gun and the fabric itself?
Yes, loose contact, I believe.
Do you agree, and is it your opinion, that the wound to the skin is not a contact wound?
No.
Are you saying it's your opinion that the wound to the skin is a contact wound?
It's not contact. The contact would be very, very different.
So it's your opinion that the wound to the skin is not a contact wound?
Yes.
And if it had been a contact wound, that would be a pretty easy thing for a medical examiner to see.
Yes.
There would be the stellate type tearing of the
Yes,
skin.
it's very easy. I normally I can make decision in first 5 or 3 seconds.
That's a kind of a rookie thing, if you will. That's an obvious thing to someone
Yes,
with your
yes.
background.
We do that almost every day.
So what your testimony ultimately is that there is some distance
Yes.
between the fabric and the skin.
No, I did not say between the fabric and skin, between the skin and the muzzle of the gun. There's some distance.
That's what I'd like you to be clear on so I understand.
Okay.
You're saying that there is some distance between the muzzle of the gun and the skin.
Okay.
So
When I say contact, it's not contact to the clothes, it's contact to the skin. Okay.
are you saying that if you contact the
Contact
clothing and the clothing is next to the skin, that you're not going to see evidence of a contact wound on the skin?
It depends on how you contact them. There are 2 contact, loose contact and a hard contact. If the gun through the clothes, press the clothes, very hard to contact skin, then I would see the imprint of the fiber of the clothing on the skin.
You would also see that stellate pattern you're talking about, the tearing.
You may not see that if it's hard contact.
So you're saying that if the barrel of the gun were pushed against the fabric, against the skin, that you would see fibers in the skin. You
Yes.
might see the stellate tearing, but not necessarily?
I cannot answer that question because in this case, I believe it's not.
You believe what is not?
I don't believe it is contact. In my autopsy report, I give you 3 ranges: contact, intermediate, and indeterminate. Means I cannot tell. So in this case, for me, it's also like 3-second question. He had a stippling, it's intermediate range. For me, I'm different from the firearm technician. They use the chemical method or use actual shooting to determine the range. They give you like whatever, 1 inch, 2 inch.
So let's talk about how you determined
I
your
use
range.
the definition. So if it is stippling, it is intermediate range. If it's intermediate range, it is stippling. So
Let's just break that down just a little bit more.
okay,
If it's not contact, then it's the next closest distance, by your definition, would be intermediate.
yes.
There's no such thing as close range.
Some people you do that. In this case, some people will call close range, but I don't do that because
So you go from either contact to intermediate.
yes,
And in your mind, based upon the resource materials, intermediate can be from less than half an inch
Yeah,
all the
less-
way out to 4 feet.
yeah, less than 0.4 inch to 4 feet. That's what I said in the deposition.
And the way you know that is because you know it's not contact
Yes,
and that you see some of the stippling or the tattooing.
yes,
And you know that there is a point, there is a distance where the gunpowder drops off, somewhere around 4 feet. So if the shot is beyond 4 feet, you're
you
not
cannot
going
see
to
the stippling. Yes, you
you're not
cannot
going to see any of the stippling.
Yes,
You're only going to see the bullet hole.
yes. Again, for this case, when I give you my opinion in the deposition, the first thing I need to be safe. So after I determine it's in the intermediate range pattern, then I search the book. I find out the closest.
Let me be clear.
Range.
Have you changed your opinion
No, I did
now
not
from
change
what
opinion.
you gave
Yeah,
last
in
fall?
the end, I did not change opinion because in the book is still there, book is still same.
Which books do you refer to?
I have several books on my shelf.
Did you refer to any of the books by Dr. Vincent DeMaio?
Yeah, his book is one of them.
All right, so you consulted Dr. DeMaio's book on gunshot wounds.
Yes,
And after consulting his book and others, have you now changed or refined your opinion that the distance of the shot is 0.4 inches to 4 feet?
no, I did not. I made the determination before your deposition. I did not have new experience, new reading about this matter since deposition. Everything is the same.
So just to be clear then, you cannot offer any more precise distance from the muzzle of the gun to Trayvon Martin's skin than somewhere between 0.4 inches and 4 feet.
Yes, that's what I did. That's what I said in the deposition. My position, my opinion is still same.
All right, that's your position today.
Yes,
You accept as a matter of trying to determine distance that at the end of the muzzle, in addition to the projectile, gunpowder comes out.
yes,
And it's the gunpowder pattern that you've called stippling,
yes.
and the amount, how far it's spread and such, can help identify the distance.
No, I will not worry about how far they spread. So this
So
is just 1-to-1. So if I say stippling, it's the intermediate range. It's intermediate range, it's stippling. It's simple, easy. If I see one of them, I make the determination.
So do you ascribe to the idea that as the gunpowder is expelled from the gun, from the muzzle, as the shot is fired, that it has this kind of conical
Yes,
pattern?
the far it is, then we're spread out.
All right, so in other words, there are ways to figure out how far the shot may have been based upon the size of the stippling pattern. Is that correct?
As medical examiner, I don't think that's my job. My job is to make decision of range, either contact, intermediate, or indeterminate. Some people would do hard contact, near contact, close contact. Different people, they have different ways to describe the injury.
So this has a 2-inch by 2-inch stippling pattern.
Yes,
Basically a circle roughly, 2 inches in,
2-inch diameter, 2 by 2 inch.
2 inch by 2
No,
inch.
no, 2-inch diameter,
Mhm.
not the circle. It's pretty big.
The width of the tattooing or the stippling is about 2 inches. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yes, you're right.
And once you saw this, you knew that it was an intermediate range,
Okay, yes.
and that at that point, you did not attempt to determine where within that intermediate range this particular shot may have occurred.
Yeah, because I could not write that down on the autopsy report because it is not part of the autopsy report. It is opinion without very great confidence. But it's my responsibility when I do deposition. I have to give you range. So I did research, give you range.
So the only the only testimony you're able to give the jury on how far the muzzle of the gun was from the skin is somewhere between 0.4 inches and 4 feet.
Yes.
If I might have just a minute, I think I'm about finished. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, Dr. Bell.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Good afternoon again, Dr. Val.
Thank
Let's
you.
make sure we cover a few things. You did a report, and I think it was 6 pages, correct?
7 page. I mean,
7 pages, I'm sorry.
my notes.
Right. You did a report, but then you also made notes too.
Yeah, 7 page
Okay,
notes.
all right. You made 7 pages of notes, and your report detailed your diagnosis and findings, did it not? Your
Okay.
medical examiner report
Oh
detailed
yeah, the
what you
autopsy
did.
report. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
autopsy.
the autopsy report.
Okay. Yeah. Let me see.
Okay.
Total 6 pages autopsy
Okay.
report.
All right. And you documented your findings in this case?
Yes.
In terms of the gunshot wound, detailing, describing the,
Yeah, I typed the report on same day.
okay.
Because you cannot rely on your memory to
Right.
testify, say truth, not about truth, because you don't know the truth, okay?
Right. So at that time, it was very fresh in your mind, and you did it that same day?
Yes,
Okay. And you documented your findings on the report?
yes,
Okay. And then you created some notes to help you testify in court, so hopefully it would be easier?
yes,
Okay. Like, make sure you had your name down right in terms of all your education, so it'd be easier for you to tell the jury?
yeah, even before the deposition, I told you I spent the whole weekend from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay.
I come to my office, I lay down everything.
Yes, sir.
I try to figure out what I can remember.
Right.
I could not remember anything.
Okay. And in fact, in the deposition, you provided both sides, defense and state, with some answers to some very simple questions about what a homicide is.
Yes.
The definition of intermediate range pattern, correct?
Yes,
And in it, you put in terms of 0.4 inches to 4 feet.
yes, based on the literature I used.
Yes, sir. And you also provided to both counsel the, and I'm going to mispronounce it, the intermediate?
Intermediate.
Okay. Tell me again, now that is where you have clothing, right?
Oh yeah, it's called intermediary.
Okay.
Intermediary means you have something between the muzzle of the gun and the target, means skin of Trayvon Martin.
And as you stated in the notes you provided counsel to the state and defense and deposition, you believe in this case there was something, the 2 sweatshirts,
Yes.
correct? Okay. Now, you also, a lot of photographs were taken. We've only shown some of the photographs, but you
Yes.
took other photographs.
Yes.
Not you yourself, but other people did that were working for you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in those photographs, Your Honor, may I have some assistance with the lights? I apologize. I want to go back to 2 of the photographs, number 89 and 88. When the body came in, when Trayvon Martin's body came in, did you yourself have to look at the hands yourself?
Yes, I look at
Why?
every
Why did
case.
you have to look at the hands?
Because, yeah, look at the picture now. I understand why we did not do the photo of palm, because when people die, the hand like this, the contraction of the muscle. So my job, the first thing, I want to bend them out, and after I release my hand, the hand will back again like this. So it's very difficult to take a picture without my hand to bend them, then ask another guy to take a picture. I think that's why we did not take picture for this case.
Yes, sir.
We do not do picture for palm for any other case.
And if there
It's
had been some
difficult.
blood there, would you have taken pictures to document that there was some evidence there that was important?
Yes,
Okay, and there wasn't any blood or injury to the palms
No.
of his hands?
I look at myself, every case, I believe in this case, I do same thing.
Okay, all right. So in other words, you're saying when you die, your body, I guess, your stuff to your body kind of curls up?
Yeah, this is,
Okay.
this is standard, everybody do that after they die.
Okay. And you also mentioned the injury, State's Exhibit number 97. Since you did find something there, you did document that by that photograph, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. I think that's it for the lights. I'm going to ask him some more questions. Thank you. You were asked about the scrapings of the fingernails. That was done by one of your technicians that works for you, I believe, Mr.
Yes.
Ben
Ben
Barton?
Dalton, yes.
Okay. And he's trained to do that, or did you just that day tell somebody to come off the street and say, hey, come in here, or has he been trained to do that?
Yeah, he was trying to do his job. He had previous experience with some other job, and after he came in, we have senior technician train him to do the job, and after 3 months, we decide he knows everything.
Okay, stop 1 second.
Vouching for a witness that's not here and subject to cross-examination.
Okay. Can you move on?
I'll be moving on, Your Honor. You mentioned, may I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
You did recover some blood was recovered, correct? For
Yes.
DNA purposes, correct?
Yes.
The bottom line, Dr. Blau, whether it's from 1 to 3 minutes, from 1 to 10 minutes, he was going to die
Yes.
and never recover from this gunshot wound, correct?
He had no chance. There are 2 defects on the heart.
So the bottom line, it could be as little as 1 minute, up to 3 minutes, or up to 10 minutes,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And in your deposition, you stated from 1 to 3 minutes, but you recently came across a case where somebody could have lived to 10 minutes, correct?
Yes.
And by the way, in terms of, you didn't go to the scene, correct?
No, I did not go to the
I
scene.
object to the leading nature of the last several questions.
Okay, in this question, if it's just to get to a point in testimony, I will allow it.
You were asked by Mr. West to, I think at some point, review your investigator's report that went to the scene. You recall that?
Yeah.
Tara Malferris or Tara
Yeah,
Clark,
yeah.
think
I
her
did not
name.
go to the scene. I just rely on her report here. I do not want to testify on her behalf because I don't have fact.
You didn't go to the scene yourself?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I don't have opinion.
Okay. If the evidence, hypothetically, if the evidence showed photographs there at the scene by the police department that the body was covered in a tarp, a
Yeah.
tarp was covered over the body, would that in some way protect the body?
Yes, before I came here, I did review the scene photos. Not
Okay.
because I want to scene, but because I reviewed photos.
You reviewed
Few
photos
days.
that were taken by the investigator?
Yes, I reviewed it a few
And-
days ago, even yesterday.
Right. And was there indication that the body had been covered at the scene?
Yeah, according to my memory, the new memory, not the memory 1 year ago, that the body was covered by orange something.
Okay. And when you say in terms of Trayvon Martin, in terms of the 1 minute minimum, up to 3 minutes and all that, in other words, his brain was still functioning, but he wasn't able, was he able to get up and do jumping jacks and all this stuff or not?
I believe brain is the minimal functioning. I don't think he can move based on my case, our case, 3 weeks ago.
Okay. All right, don't refer to the other case, but just based on your experience, you don't think he can move around and do all
Because
kinds?
I don't know Trayvon Martin's case. I have to refer previous case to predict
Sure.
Trayvon's case.
Okay, all right. And in other words, well, strike that.
Me?
I don't have any further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you. May Dr. Bao be excused?
Subject to recall, depending on.
Okay, thank you. You're excused from the courtroom, subject to being recalled. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, call your next witness,
Can we
please.
have a break?
Okay, we may.
I apologize. I was presumptions on.
Yes, we'll take a 10-minute recess. Court is in recess for 10 minutes. Distance on there.
Oh, it doesn't, no, we would be, not yet.
Police Department.